Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your patience. We're a few minutes late tonight. And welcome to this ongoing series, Talking Dance, sponsored by the Steps Beyond Foundation and Steps on Broadway. I'm Allen Maniker, and I'm going to be your host and interviewer tonight. This series continues to present an exciting lineup of dance artists who are going to be sharing their stories and insights with you. They range from across the dance spectrum. And if you're interested, the full lineup and information can be found on the website stepsbeyond.org. There's also a place there to make a suggested donation should you be so inclined, which we hope you will be. Also note that you can enter your comments and questions in the chat, and we're going to make every effort to answer all of the questions asked. And if you'd like to let us know where in the world you're located and listening in from, we would love to know. So I'm going to share my screen here for a moment. So it's my great pleasure and honor tonight to be speaking with Desmond Richardson. Desmond Richardson has been a principal dancer with Alvin Ailey American Dance Theatre, American Ballet Theatre, and Ballet Frankfurt. He's appeared on Broadway as an original cast member in Fosse, as Tony in Twyla Tharp's Moving Out, and in the Burt Bacharach, Hal David production, The Look of Love. Richardson has worked as a guest performer and choreographer in film and television, appearing in the Oscar-winning Chicago and on the American and international editions of So You Think You Can Dance. He's also worked as a featured dancer for artists including Michael Jackson, Prince, Madonna, and Aretha Franklin. He is co-founder and co-artistic director with Dwight Rhoden of Complexions Contemporary. Here's Dwight, and Complexions Contemporary Ballet. He's received Tony Award nomination, the Dance Magazine Award, the Capizio Award, the LA Ovation Award, a New York Performance Award, which is also known as a Bessie, the Young Artist Alumni Award, and is a Presidential Scholar of the Arts. So please do join me in welcoming Desmond. Hey, Des. Oh, I can't hear you.
Okay.
Now I can hear you.
Hello.
Hello. I'm great, thank you.
Yes.
How are you doing in this time of COVID? You doing okay?
I'm doing okay, thankfully. You know, I feel very grateful and staying in gratitude, actually, and just trying to, think about new horizons and things like that. But first, let me thank you so much for waiting on. Please pardon my tardiness. I was like trying to get here in my car, but right, you know how it is to get here in New York. But yeah, all else is good.
Are you in the city right now?
Mm-hmm. I'm in New York. Yeah, I'm in New York City.
So you didn't flee like so many other people?
I fled earlier on and then came back. Yeah. I was away and then I came back. But it's good to be back, actually. So, yeah.
So you grew up in Queens?
I grew up in Queens, New York, in Laurelton, Queens, to be more specific. And yeah, I went to the junior high school there in Queens at 231. And then I went to the High School of Performing Arts after that in New York City. So,
yeah. Were you from, was your family involved in the arts?
Yes. My father was a singer. My mom loved ballet and dancing, but obviously during that time, she could not take dance. Because of just the story of African-American lives back then. But she was an avid goer and viewer of dance and all things artistic, actually. She was the one who turned my brothers and I on to museums and listening to classical music and all of those things and having an appreciation for those things. I mean, we grew up with a lot of music. I come from a really strong music background with my father and my grandmother being the choir directors in the church and singing and things like that. So that all came very naturally to me. But I think that my mom really gave me a sense of understanding that the energy of the arts and how profound that is for people.
Yeah. What kind of music was your dad involved with?
My dad sang R&B,
Uh, uh,
a pretty famous group, but yeah, he sang a lot of doo-wop and R&B and all of those things, and yeah.
uh-huh. So they were, I'm assuming they were, since they were in the arts, they were supportive of you pursuing a career in dance?
Yes, my mom was, because my dad and my mom separated fairly early, but yeah, she was very just in my brothers and I corner, because my brothers went to the art and design high school. Both of them went to art and design high school, and they both were interested in art and animation and cartoon, and there I was wanting to dance. So I was the only one that was interested in this movement aspect. And though coming from a Southern sort of Caribbean background, and we've always moved, but I always wanted to understand what the classicism was about. And really, classical ballet really hit me strong. And then I obviously trained in so many different styles, from modern and Graham and Dunham, and
Right. Well, when did you start taking class? How old were you?
My freshman year of high school. I auditioned for the school, didn't know what I was doing. I just know that I knew I was flexible, because in my junior high school, in my gymnastic class, my coach said, "Oh, you're very flexible for a guy." I didn't know that that was a thing. So I used that, and I knew how to backflip and a couple of those things. And I also I did street dance. So I did a lot of hip hop back in the day, and popping and things like that. So I just coordinated a lot of different things and brought that to the audition, and the adjudicating panel was like, "Oh, wow." And I actually started to emulate a lot of what I was seeing from the kids in front of me. So I would just try to pick up what I could. I always pretty much had that eye. I don't know why, but maybe that's just a gift, but I always had an eye for form and sculpture, and it just helped me along for sure.
So your first formal training was really not until high school of performing arts?
Correct. Yep.
Wow.
And then
you were a late starter.
Yeah, I guess I saw the movie Fame, right? The original movie Fame. And then I watched great performances, and it was the documentary on Rudolf Nureyev and Margot Fontaine, and watching his performances, I was mesmerized. It was my light bulb moment for sure. I just knew that there was something that I was connecting to, in particular to his performance. She was beautiful too, but more so his performance. And it was the technical prowess for sure, the presence. There was something that just came to me and said, I wish I could learn that, because I knew I could deliver something. I don't know what that was, but I knew I could deliver something.
But so then when you started off at High School of Performing Arts, I assume the curriculum was fairly varied. You had modern, contemporary ballet. Did you initially take to one form or the other?
I for sure took to modern dance for sure, and Graham, because that was what was being asked of us. But then when I had my Russian teacher, Stephanie Zimmerman, and she was really keen on teaching me like the basics of ballet and Vagonova style. And I started to really fall in love with line and form. And I was like becoming like really focused in on ballet and really being aware of my line, because she said, you have one and you have to use it. And I don't care what style you use dancing in, you don't forget your style, the style of dance, but you must use your form properly. Like, as they say, and I use it today, where, she always said, your technique liberates you. So don't put yourself in a box like, I'm only a ballet dancer. Oh, I'm only a contemporary modern dancer. Because, that contemporary thing came in later, where it was just to be a modern dancer. And I love that. I thought that was actually quite interesting, because I wanted to do so many different aspects of dance. I just didn't want to do just one thing. So for me, being at the High School of Performing Arts, taking voice, taking acting, going to, taking makeup class, understanding what makeup was, then going to, you know, ballet and modern and jazz and learning about Jack Cole and all of those things. And of course, Alvin Ailey, those things really just was pulling all types of things out of me.
Right. But did one feel like it came,
no,
quote unquote, easier to you?
No.
It all felt the same. It
all felt the same. I guess because my body could do a lot of things. So I was malleable. I could, my hips worked properly. I had stretch. I was physical. Those things that, you know, I had to train to like get my body, the stamina right, you know, for each style and understanding what the styles were. That to me, once one of my teachers told me, Penny Frank, she said, you have to study, you have to study correctly. Like if you're going to study a style, study it. So when I was doing Horton, I was doing Horton. If I'm doing classical ballet, I'm doing classical ballet. I'm not like doing a mishmash, you know, like I really wanted to understand and present it in the way that it was supposed to be presented.
Uh-huh. Wow, wonderful. So I wanna share my screen again and maybe show a little clip of you, and it'll just take a second to set up. Mm-hmm. Well, that that was pretty wonderful. That was pretty wonderful.
Thank you.
So, you know, I actually I remember when you started with So You Think You Can Dance, and like the whole concert dance community was like really rooting for you there. And I'm curious, what was it that like, because you were really at the very beginning of that type of dance presentation to the public. Did you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, you know, I guess I've just always been wanting to do more commercial work at that time. And then I'm so glad that Nigel Lithgow called and was like, we would love to have you guys on the show. And I was like, really? Okay. And it was great because we had so many dancers on the show since the beginning. So for us to come on the show, you know, to share what myself and Dwight Rhoden do with Complexions, that was really beautiful. So yeah, I guess as a diverse dancer, I was elated to share like that to the millions of people who watch that show. You know, I was like, they need to see like the technical aspect of dancers in that commercial setting, but know that there's a form behind all of that. Yeah, I was glad to speak to that and still do. I love that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And there was always a live audience for So You Think You Can Dance?
Yes, there was always a live audience. You tape and then you go live the next day afterwards. Yeah.
But I mean, once you began the live thing, there were not retakes and whatnot.
Oh no,
Yeah.
It's like, you know, became, you know, like we do in the concert world. You got to be prepared and ready to step up and
Right.
do the work,
Right.
and be spontaneous in the moment. Whatever happens, happens, and you have to kind of go with that. Yes, you're on film, and you have to kind of work with it. If it didn't go well, you know, you have to cover. So, yeah, those things happen a lot for a lot of us dancers.
But so then, when you're working in the realm of film, like you did, let's say in Chicago, I mean, clearly there is no live audience, with the exception of maybe the crew.
Mm-hmm.
How do you adjust to that? Is it a big adjustment?
No, because Rob Marshall, the choreographer and director, you know, he said to us, you know, perform it like you're performing it on the stage. You know, we got to give it to each other. Like look to your left and look to your right, so that you understand. Like, let's bring that energy that we would normally on the stages. You know, albeit that be Broadway or the concert stage. No, and generally when we were dancing, the crew was like, yes, oh my God, that was so good. So they were, you know, like clapping and things, and then we were always clapping for each other and things like that. But that was the spirit of the way that Rob was working and with all of us. And he likes for the set to be energized like that, you know? So I loved every moment of that, because I was with people, my contemporaries that I know were at a particular level, and he did too. That's why he hired everybody, because there was no, how do you say, there was no middle ground, folks. If I could be like that, yeah, I would just say it, okay, because at this time we need to be real and real. No mediocrity. He didn't want it. He said it. I want people who are coming to the fold. Actually, when he called us all to come into the room and be sized, many of us were called. We didn't audition, so he knew who he wanted, and he knew that those particular people were going to step up to the plate and help Catherine and Renee and Richard and all of those people to bring it to a particular level where it's a balance. So we all were on the same playing field here.
So it sounds like it was a really positive experience for you.
Plenty, yeah. It's still, I still think about that. And when I now that it's coming to holiday time, it's on like a lot. You know, it's nice to view it and look and view it with a smile, you know, like, wow, that was a beautiful time. And all the people that we work with, we were super close at that time, and everybody's energies were really inside, because we knew this particular work was important.
Mm-hmm. How long was the process of filming? How long did that take?
If I remember correctly, 3 months for us. I know the dancers were there for 3 months in Toronto, but I think the other cast was there for more 5 or 6 months, you know, who were doing like the lines and things like that. But for us, we were 3 months, but we were back and forth in New York, but yeah, 3 months.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I was also interested. So when you did So You Think You Can Dance, that was really sort of the beginning of competition dance, at least in the public eye. Do you think that in some ways changed the perception of dance, because so much of it was about a wow factor? How does that wow factor balance out against delivering artistry?
Yeah, when the onslaught of So You Think You Can Dance jumped off, yeah, it was this sort of, you know, nuanced giving over to our public of what I wouldn't say that it's, yeah, just diverse dancers, you know, not just compartmentalized. Oh, I'm just a modern dancer, or I'm just no, these dancers actually can tell stories, and they can flip their hats so quickly. you know, because when we're choreographing on So You Think You Can Dance, I don't know if you know, but the dancers have about 3 or 4 choreographers that they have to work with. They have X amount of time to work with, and they got to get into what these choreographers want, and showcase who they are, you know, their presence, all of that is important. There's not so much process time, but there's conversation, you know, as to what you like, what does a choreographer like, and then they jump in. And what I found so incredible is that these dancers across the board are so malleable and able to jump in and deliver. And deliver. What they're doing is they're relying on their technique. Many of them, they're whatever that is for them, whether it's their popping technique, whether that's a jazz background or the ballroom background, they're relying on their technique to liberate them through the course of that sort of dancing. So to me, when I go to the conventions now and watch these dances, because half of my company is convention dancers, and I've always loved that, because I too felt like, man, I would have been one of those dancers, because I love to perform like that. But you know, the concert world, I chose the concert world, and that is just as important as well. And I just think that it shows the masses that there's just a plethora of incredible dancers that can do many, many incredible things with their bodies. And it's just really accessible, even more accessible than it would be in the theater.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But so tell me, because I mean, your training initially was in concert dance and had a foundation of artistry, if you will. But then what about these younger dancers who are beginning and their main point of view is competition? Do you think that breeds a different kind of dancer?
Well, I would say that these younger dancers, they're actually looking for it. They're looking for the artistry. Many of them who will concentrate on, you know, I want to be on that show and I want to be dancing behind that person. That's okay too, but more than most, the ones that I'm working with and view and see, they want the artistic challenge. They want to know who they are while they're dancing. Like, that's something that, and why you're doing it, and how are you encompassing your environment and space, and what are you saying other than just like 10 pirouettes? You know, what are you saying to it? Because they're that right now, so many dancers have that particular technical prowess, you know, the beautiful feet and super arched legs, and, you know, and that's across the board. Guys and girls and everything in between have that. So what are you going to add to it? And that's what I like to offer to the students when I teach them. Like, what do you bring into the fold that hasn't been done because there's never been a you, right? So and just like it was told to me, you have to be your unique self. And though you want to do all these showy things, you should be really interested in sharing your artistry, your heart, humanity, and soul.
That's so interesting, because I mean, what you've said is that, so then these younger dancers are starting out from a place of high extension, multiple turns, big leaps, and then have to find the artistry.
Yeah.
And that's much different than previous dance training has been about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just I think it's just a generational, just how it works. Like, when I was going to school, it was all, had so much to look at, so many people to look at, so many brilliant dancers who were going to take class and really taking class to warm up for their show, warm up for their rehearsals, you know, all of those things, but they were really training. And I found that there was a bit of a flip where it was just like some dancers wanted to get to the meat really quickly without doing the process. And that's in anything, you cannot do that. So You may be able to sustain it a little while, but you won't work long or often.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So then what compelled you to found your own company with Dwight?
Well, Dwight actually came to me with this idea of joining forces, and when I say joining forces, is that Dwight and I were working already together on the side of outside of Alvin Ailey, where we were dancing, and he was like, "Can I build material on you?" And I was like, "Absolutely, I can't wait." Oh my God, I couldn't wait because I was watching him build material on other dancers, and I was like, I would love to just dance his work. And thus, when I got the opportunity to do so, there was just something so kinetic and interesting that we both shared this commonality of movement. Obviously form and freedom and, you know, visceral performing and making people feel it, and all of those things we connect to. And maybe we connected to that through Alvin Ailey, because he was about that too, about transporting the audiences. When they see you, they should recognize that they're about to be taken on some sort of journey from the word go, from the moment that you hit the stage. The audience should move forward in the seat, not back and be looking at the program. That was one of the common things he used to say to us. If you feel the audience moving back, you got a problem. So Dwight and I, we came together and just started to create work. And he said, you know, we should really try to put this together. It was Alvin Ailey, actually, who encouraged Dwight and I to put all of the numbers and things like that we had been choreographing on other people together and do a show. And thus we did that in 1994 at Symphony Space, and it was sold out for 3 nights, 866 seats, and it was amazing. And now we're 26 years in, and so it's really pretty amazing. And having traveled the world and giving over to other dancers and watching and growing, it's a pretty immense feeling.
Could you imagine that it would be 26 years later and still around?
No, not at all. It was supposed to be a project, and we were supposed to move on. So, and now we're 26 years in, and we have to learn the business side and board members and, you know, workman's comp and all of those things. We had to learn all of those things on our feet, and thankfully we had learned those things. And it's not easy. It's an arduous process, because when we were in the newness of it, we were still dancing. So sometimes, you know, many of us dancers, we become selfish in terms of how we become television and what you're doing. But there was something that my mom said to me. She said this, where, you know, you have an opportunity while you're actually on the stage to inspire others through your movements and through how you articulate what it is that you're going to do. And this is it's not by happenstance that you guys are, you know, have been brought together. It's something that you're supposed to be doing. So to me, it's a big honor. Like, it's still a big honor to give over to dancers and audience members and across the world. You know, like, the same energy that we get in New York is pretty much the same energy we get in Germany, in Poland, in Russia. I mean, in Russia, it's even more palpable. So it's pretty amazing how the movement, and in particular Dwight's movement, touches people.
Right, wonderful. Well, let's have a look. Yep, you got to end your turns that way.
You got to end your turn, right? On elevate. That would be nice.
Right. So beautiful. So let's move on. And I want to talk about that you were named the first African-American principal dancer of American Ballet Theatre. What did it feel like walking into that environment?
Well, walking into the environment was pretty amazing. I had many friends in the company, so it wasn't like a thing too much to me, but it was a different experience because I had such an affinity for American Ballet Theatre, obviously growing up in New York and, you know, hoping one day to dance with New York City Ballet and or American Ballet Theatre or Alvin Ailey or being a New York dancer, right? So those are the companies that I was like, I can't wait. But, you know, whenever I auditioned for the companies before, you know, there's a hierarchy and all those things, but to be asked to come to American Ballet Theatre, that was pretty immense because I was in Germany and I received a call from Lar Lupovic, choreographer Lar Lupovic, saying that he had a ballet that he wanted to, that he was working on in his head and that he saw me in it and that, you know, that was Othello. And then coming back to America from Germany and coming into American Ballet Theatre and taking class with everybody and you know, Kevin McKenzie, the artistic director, seeing me and saying, oh, wow, you know, like there's actually more for you to do here than just Othello. So let's see how we can make that happen and thus offer me a principal contract and be doing a few other things before moving on to Broadway.
Right. But so are you saying, you know, so lately, especially with all of the social changes and things that have been happening in the country, it's been brought up on multiple fronts that there's an undercurrent of systemic racism within the world of dance. And but from what I hear, am I hearing that you didn't say, you said that you did not really feel that at American Ballet Theatre?
I can't say that I did not feel that. That is just bred in ballet, period. I mean, I'm not one, people know what that is. I'm not here to educate people on that. They have to figure that out for themselves. But what I chose to do is to move forward in the dance because I don't see color. I didn't see color on the dance. I knew what I brought to the stage. And so you being those in power or in the artistic direction needed to, you know, have seen me in a different light that I could handle everything just like everybody else. So, but if you don't see it, then I have to go, which I chose to keep it moving. You know, like to me, I can't stay in ignorance. So that's not something that I'm interested in. So I'm glad to see this moving forward thing of everybody's now jumping on the diversity bandwagon. It's something that feels novel, but it shouldn't be a conversation because we're all human here. So to me, that's how I was taught, is to show up and do the job. And, you know, you cannot be denied. You know, I wasn't denied certain things, you know, certain things came my way and then, you know, I just chose, I said, you know what, I can't stay around if you cannot see me in other things. So, and I'm not going to partake in that kind of conversation. I can do it another way. I can show them another way. So, which is doing the work that you see and that you've seen in the photos and pictures and things like that, that it is on par with anybody else. So I don't, this other thing about the systemic racism, you know, it's there. You know it's there. It's been, that's how this country has been raised up. And so it's in everywhere. So it's not only just dance, and in dance, it's been there since the beginning. So it's not something that I can change or anybody else. I'm glad to see these, like I said, to reiterate, I'm glad to see these movements of, oh, let's, you know, incorporate other dances of color and things like that. But not just me, there have been so many other dancers of color across the board who were fantastic and didn't get a shot to do Giselle lead Albrecht, or to do Romeo and Juliet, or to do, you know, these things because it was cloaked in an idea of what someone wanted to see, and that's unfortunate because they missed out. You know, they missed out. That's a missing out. You say you love my dancing, but you don't see me in Romeo, really? Well, I gotta go. So for me, I'm being light about that, but I do know the weight of that. I just was raised differently. Like, you know, I don't carry that, because if I carried that weight with me, my parents were people who did sit-ins and things like that during their high schools and things like that. So I was raised in a very conscious environment in my house, and you know, and to understand, you know, people are people and humans are humans, and they're going to do what they need to do, but to understand where we are in this, and understand, since you're becoming an artist, you have to work hard, do your work, and become undeniable, so that you can have a conversation of, are you not putting me on the casting only because of the skin color? Really? Okay. Then you have a choice to just move on, because that ignorance is what do we do with that? Because people can they can talk it, but that's inbred in you. Like, some people, that's inside of them. So, and that's therapy work. You know, that's therapy work I do with my therapist. So I would want for people to do that sort of work internally, like to understand, why are you treating someone like that because of a skin color? That's weird to really think about it, right? And so actually, even when I went to Europe, I never had that issue. Never had that issue of, it was just like an added feature. Oh my God, it's of color. Wow. There I was on the Bolshoi stage, or there I was at the Mariinsky Theater. It wasn't a thing. They were just like, oh my God, you're fantastic. Or I'm in class with the Bolshoi dancers, and they see that I'm handling the bar just the same, or triple tours or siestas, or. So what's the issue? When I came back to America, it's like this big thing, and it's like it's beyond, and it's like this extra thing that we have to understand and talk about. It's an old conversation, and it just needs to. We need to get to it and just open it up. And I'm sure that I see a lot. Again, I see a lot of people having a lot of conversations and things like that. But in this idea of systemic racism exists. So until you can mouth the words, then people just don't really, they'll just always do status quo. And, you know, say, oh, I have a few Black friends, or a Puerto Rican friend, or something like that. And even in the dance world, I've heard that. Oh, I have 2 Black friends, and okay. On that, right? It goes, even with me and my white friends, we like sit, we talk, and I think that that's an engagement, that because people want to know, like, how did you grow up? And then we exchange and we talk, because though we're here, and specifically in New York, we're all very compartmentalized. So the way I grew up is very different from the way you grew up, and vice versa. So I would want to learn that and understand that there's some commonality there, but we are definitely very different in the way we grew up. So the dance world is there, but I think, like I said, I'm just glad to see a lot of conversations happening, and now I just want to see the work. I want to see.
Right. But so Desmond, you know, clearly Alvin, in establishing his company, had a definite message that he wanted to communicate, as did Arthur Mitchell when he established Dance Theater of Harlem. Do you feel that that message is even necessary with Complexions? Does it have a message in the same way that those 2 companies do, or did?
Yes. both of those companies, those gentlemen and my mentors, you know, they were very eager to tell the story of Black folks and African Americans and what, you know, the journeys and things like that and experience, and to see the beauty in that too. And with Complexions, we have taken all of that and said, well, let's look at the total. You know, we have 2 Italians, 2 Australians, 3 Asians, you know, we of different Asian descent, Japanese, Chinese. So it's like, you know, and across the board, it's important to have these conversations. So to Dwight and I, it's about the unity, always has been. That diversity thing we've been doing since we began, because he and I are very diverse. And it's just part of the human conversation. Because when we go around the world, that's what people are looking at. They're looking at, oh, wow, oh, this one came from Belize, Georgia. They're like, oh my gosh, and they're working in New York with us. So to me, I think it's really important that those conversations, the Al Bailey's, the Arthur Mitchell's conversation, was relevant and is still relevant to today. And so is Complexions and the other companies who are doing this work, Ballet Hispanico, and there's just a plethora of companies who are showing their wares like that and engaging audiences in thought-provoking work and thought-provoking conversations of movement.
Mm-hmm. So let's turn in our last few minutes to this new virtual world that we have to live in as far as performing arts, which hopefully with the advent of a vaccination will be over shortly, right? How have you and the company adapted to this new virtual world?
We've adapted by doing virtual intensives, classes. We're just trying to, it took a moment for us to realize what is going to be this movement. How are we going to get that? Because we really love being in the studio like other dancers too, right? But like I said, many of our dancers are from all around the world. So many of them are back at home where they are from. And it's very difficult, but inspirational too. We're working on this film. We just worked on a few different pieces actually of film work that we shot in person and some virtually as well. And so we'll see how that's going. And we're just really trying to stay in communication with each other and take classes. That's what we can do at this moment, because we're trying to figure out what that future is, because we know that the future, the norm is changed. And so there will be a new normal, right? So we have to wait for sure. But we're really just thinking, myself and Dwight are thinking about the future and what we actually want to say. And in part, that is that we're really eager to speak even more passionately about, you know, events and the current events, excuse me, and what moves people and what moves our dancers. You know, these dancers that we have are pretty formidable, and not only just technical, but they have a heart too, and they have something to say. And we listen to that, and we're just eager to share that with the audiences soon.
Well, one of the questions that came in was, do you think the atmosphere in New York's dance community will change post-pandemic?
Yes. I'm hopeful that it'll be that much more passionate, and that I have seen and connected. I think in this pandemic, I've connected to so many people that I hadn't connected to in such a long while. And in the dance community, that is. Just reaching back out and, oh my God, right, I haven't seen you in like 6 years. Oh, right, remember when we were, it's those conversations are really important. And looking at all the kids that are coming out, the students that are coming out of Juilliard and all the other schools that are around, and Marymount and things like that, having those conversations too, to see what's the next way to go.
Well, what is the next way to go?
Well, for us, it is just looking to, our past to create a new future, and one that's generated through inspiration and passion and respect and heart, humanity, and soul. That's one of the key factors for us. So, yeah, we're looking forward to sharing that even more. So,
yeah. Have you been teaching virtually as well?
I've been teaching virtually as well at the Youth Steps of Youth program. Myself and one of my dancers is teaching there. Across the board, many different things. After I have one with you, I'm going to be with the folks in China. so yeah, I've been actually connecting to a lot of dance around the world, and it's been pretty amazing to do that.
What are the challenges? What are the challenges to teaching virtually?
Not being in a room. That's it. Not being in a room and really feeling that energy. I can see them through the screen, but there's something that's really palpable that comes across when you're in the room with the dancers, and you just see that they have something that the energy's coming off of them. It's just I'm missing that. And though I can see it on film, I rather enjoy that up close.
Well, we're all hoping that it's going to return someday, right? Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yes, I'm more on it sooner than later. We will, it also too, it takes time to refocus, because we had some issues here last. So you need time to breathe and then time to come in and propel forward. Right.
Well, believe it or not, we're actually out of time, Desmond.
Oh, wow.
And okay. Yeah, see, time flies when you're having fun, right?
Here it goes. Indeed.
And we're so thankful that you were able to join us, and really appreciate you taking the time out to come and talk with us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
It's really been
much.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So, Des, hang around. And I just want to thank you once again for joining us. All right.
Thank you.
So, thank you all for tuning in tonight. If you've enjoyed this interview, please consider donating, and you can go to our YouTube channel as well as the Steps Beyond Foundation and subscribe. Join me again in 2 weeks on December 6th, when I'm going to be interviewing Sonia Tea. Sonia is a New York City-based choreographer and director. She choreographed the musical Moulin Rouge for Broadway and Rent Live for television, and tours for music artists such as Miley Cyrus. She carries 2 Emmy nominations, 2 Drama Desk nominations, and an Obie Award. And on a personal note, she actually is from Detroit, which is where I'm from, and we actually went to the same university, Wayne State University, so it should be a fun conversation. So I want to, again, thank you all so much, and we hope to see you again in 2 weeks' time. Good night, everyone. Thank you.